Actually,
foggy side,
no, I'm clear. That actually, when you think about it, that really should be the way around, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it should be. Maybe it just needs a clean. Unless it's just an old camera. There we go. Thank you everyone for joining in. Like I said, we're going to taste through the live stream. Give us a hoy if you can't hear us. If you can hear us, see what the comments are doing. See what people are saying. This is really surreal. I can see us in
we are surrounded by tech here. So if you see us looking to our left and right,
we're kind of like Instagram's over here. Yeah. Facebook's up here and YouTube's just down here a bit. So
and we've got a little thing off to the side here as well.
Exactly, yes. So I just thought I'd start by saying what the gathering is and has been for the last couple of weeks, I should say. In a nutshell, the gathering's been about bringing members together, drinking good whiskey, enjoying in the camaraderie and conviviality of a whiskey club, and it's been happening all around the world, which is super exciting. And we're just going to share in that experience with our gathering live tasting kit that's available online. If you're not a member, you can of course still get one with membership at the moment. You can get the pack and membership for just $1.99. But I want to say a special shout out to our UK branch for helping teal this up together with us and putting it all together. And if you're watching live, we really appreciate it. But of course, you can watch this later as well. This will be on our Facebook group. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on Instagram. It'll be everywhere as always.
If you're really keen, you can do both.
You can do both.
You can watch it all again
at the same time.
Yes,
in quadraphonic, like we're sort of doing now, but in the comfort of your own living room. So we really love the concept of the idea of actually being able to drink whiskey in your living room at home and enjoying a few drams. So if you're on YouTube at the moment and you're not getting this stream, or if the sound isn't to your liking, or I'm a bit blurry for you, I suggest going up to our Facebook group and joining in on that. If you're not a member yet, join in and on the group there, and we'll taste a few drams. Where do we start?
Oh, I like starting at number one myself.
Yeah, okay, we'll start at number one. So, like I said, if you're not live with us at the moment, that's okay. I can see quite a few of you are. But if you're later on, you can also just watch this and grab it with your pack online. Where do we start? So
64, did we say?
Yeah, 64.108. For those playing at home with these sample packs, don't miss out on the envelope. If in that little red envelope there, which I'm going to unceremoniously rip open, we've got the tasting cards that come with the whiskies. So you can actually follow along with the tasting notes. And I think starting with something light and delicate might be the way to go.
I think so. Good flavour profile, good whiskey, good distillery.
Good distillery. So 64.108, something for the weekend. That's that one there. Get over to our crowd over here as well. Something for the weekend. I know the complaints always come in that I'm holding them backwards, but come on, we'll be okay. I'm going to pour that in. I'm going to start on this glass. So it's a full sample of each, which is good.
Wait for it.
Yeah. I'd say that was almost like a cork. Yeah, we got it. Now, there's something about 64s, and I don't know if you agree, but there's something about the 64s we get that they're often very malt forward.
Yes, indeed.
And I love that in a whiskey, and they're always off there. Very the word you used the other week was honest whiskies.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, they're not hiding behind anything. They're just really good, clean kind of spirits.
I think another thing that is great about 64, and particularly the society ones we've had as well, is in addition to being malt forward, they're distilled in such a way that it's just such lovely, clean spirit where the esters come through. And so for me, what makes a great 64 is when we actually get those fruits and those florals come through from the esters. And straight away, first thing I noticed, I was getting fruit, just soft, delicate, stone fruit. Peaches, apricots.
I think that very much, even at, okay, so it's 61%, but even at 61%, I can safely say that it holds up to that. It holds up to the being light and delicate. You don't expect a whiskey at 61% to be light and delicate.
No.
But it's more about the flavour than the proof, isn't
it?
Indeed. Of course, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, on the nose, it's very much light and delicate. I haven't had a taste yet. You've beaten me to the punch, but I'm always amused at live streams and when the host or hosts actually have to enjoy the whiskey at the same time. And we're just silently sniffing in here and taking all this in, and you forget you've actually got to talk about it. And
I hope you're yeah. We'll just have that moment of silence as we enjoy a whiskey. I hope you crack this one. So I really would really recommend starting with the something for the weekend 64.108. That one.
That's a good name. I like it when I can actually make the association between the name and what I'm smelling and drinking. This is something for the weekend.
It's also Saturday.
It is out on Saturday. For all the Aussies tuning in and who we're interested, congratulations to the Tigers supporters. Commiserations to the Giants fans. So he's not an Aussie rules man. I am. Poor Giants next year.
Poor Giants. Yeah.
Now, this is becoming like a giant. This is growing on me now, leaping out of the glass. Don't forget that with any cask strength whiskey, but particularly whiskies. Scotch Malt Whisky Society whiskies. You can pour it into your glass, and it'll be a great dram. But just give it some time to breathe. Let those volatiles come off because it's cask strength, and you'll find a lot of society whiskies actually get into second gear, third gear, and really open up and explode with a bit of time. So always take that time.
If I can just take a moment also just to, whilst Andrew's having a taste of that, to talk about how the gathering has also been about taking a step back in time and exploring where the society started, how it came about, what the idea was, and it was about Pip's idea about enjoying whiskey, grabbing like casks of whiskey, bottling them for members, and them being opened and enjoyed. And I think even like I love this kind of format because you can just be at home enjoying this just like we are in my office here, just having a dram, and like it doesn't need to be. You don't need to be out somewhere to enjoy it. You can have the experience of this in your living room, which is
comfort of your own living room. Yes.
In comfort of your own living room. Yeah. So these packs are pretty new for us. This is, I think, the third pack we've seen.
Yep.
And the gathering packs, I think that's a really cool idea to theme it alongside the gathering here and have a taste of something different.
Yeah, 61%, first whiskey of the night. I'm not feeling a big need to add water myself.
No. I might add drop. I might try it.
Well, someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Take one for the team. I can see comments feeding in on our Instagram over there, and Matt's closer to that, so he might have a look at that. I've got Facebook on my side, so if you want to ask any questions of us or start a discussion, feel free, if you're tuning in on Facebook, to make a few comments, and I'll pick them up on my side here.
And when Scott says, and when you got up in the Ron final, Gustavo, the Ron Massey final, I don't know what that is. You said you got the volume down. Sorry, like I said, we're still going to have some technical hitch here and there. I might need to give that camera a wipe. I really am a bit foggy, or is it just the lighting? I don't know.
I think it's that light behind you. It's the camera compensating for the light. You sharp already?
No, I don't feel sharper.
Oh, well.
Mike Perth, Homan Moon, Whiskey Uncovered. Thank you for joining. Oh, I told you some technical hitches here. We're broadcasting to Facebook, to YouTube, to Instagram. So we're going to see how we go broadcasting to as many platforms as possible, which is great. And I want to make it as difficult as possible for me on a Saturday night.
Tell you what, technical difficulties here. Come on.
Yeah, wow. Okay. We're still working it out as we go along. As long as we're still streaming to it, if we can't get to the comments straight away, we'll get to them eventually. I've had a drop of water for that 64 now.
And what did that do for you? How did that?
I'm going to agree with you. I don't think it needed it.
I don't think it needed it. That says the guy hasn't tried it yet.
Look, it's certainly easier drinking with a few drops of water, but it hasn't improved. We'll talk about this at the gathering in Sydney last night briefly, how adding water to whiskey or whiskey to water, adding water to whiskey can really change the dram overall and give you a totally different experience as to how you enjoy it. And my general rule of thumb, as I mentioned last night, was that certain, what's the word for it? Certain whiskies appreciate with water. They actually get better. It dilutes the ethanol, brings out all those aromatics, brings out those floral notes. So generally sort of young ex-bourbon cask whiskies like this appreciate it. But older whiskies almost never. Sherry whiskies sometimes, but I think it's a case-by-case example of that one. Would you agree? Do you have a sort of a rule of thumb that you go by for adding water?
I certainly don't do it out of habit. I don't go, right, I've poured myself a whiskey, now I must have water with it. For me, it's a suck it and see, case-by-case basis.
Mm-hmm.
We touched on it last night at Sydney's gathering. Sometimes you know that some whiskies are likely to take water and some won't. Really old whiskies generally don't take water well, so I won't contemplate it. Sometimes you can actually nose or taste a whiskey and think to yourself, actually, I think this has got more to give. I think there's more in here, and I'm going to need water to help unlock that. Sometimes you know a whiskey has more potential than what's initially hitting you, and you know that water will be key to unlocking that. So yeah, I don't have a formula. I don't have a system. I take a sip and go, you know what, this is quite hot, needs to be tamed, or I think there's a bit more to be given here. Very classical Speyside dram, isn't it?
It is a classic.
10 years old, light, floral, fruity. The malt is still there, which it's a big thing for me. I know I go on about it a bit more than others, but this is made from barley, and so I like it when I can actually still smell and taste that barley.
Also, if I'm being completely honest, this is the kind of whiskey that I would call a sleeper on outturn.
Yeah.
and I mean that. I mean, like, it's the kind of whiskey that you'd overlook. You're like, oh, it's young and sprightly there, so therefore it's not as full-flavoured as, say, a deep, rich and dried fruits or a juicy oak and vanilla or a heavily peated. I think that's often a mistake that I think some members make. Even I make it myself. And you say, well, it's like, oh, yeah, it's okay. It's light and delicate. It might not have the full experience. And I think that's a disservice. I think once you taste something like this, and it's a classic Speyside, it's got that.
Well, it also, thinking like that goes against the ethos of the society. The society was always about, don't worry about the name of the distillery, where it comes from. It doesn't need to be a famous distillery. Who knows where 5 or 7 or 64 is? That's not important. If it's a really good whiskey, it's been bottled by the society. And, I know a lot of people get their outturn and they instantly look for their favourite numbers. But as you say, that can result in overlooking some absolute gems that can be missed. And this particular distillery, it's not particularly well known or famous. It doesn't have its own brand. Almost everything goes off to the blenders. And you're right, it'll be a sleeper. And then all of a sudden, someone who's quite active on social media will finally have a dram of it, taste it, and put word out. And then it's all hands on deck as they all rush to get it. Yeah,
it's true. And don't think about superstar codes. Just think about superstar tasting notes. And reading those tasting notes can make a huge difference. Have I vanished from that one?
Something's going on over here, yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're okay. I'm going to try and read out comments, but I think people are watching on Facebook, which is great, and people are watching on YouTube, and of course Instagram. Instagram, you're off the side here. I know, I'm sorry, but this one's a bit more for the Facebook and YouTube crowd as well. So not that we don't love you. We're right here. Don't worry. Okay, so I reckon we should probably press on to number 2, though.
Sure. All the comments have finally come up.
Oh, cool.
There we go.
Normal says YouTube not working. I mean, we are live, and there are 8 people live watching on YouTube at the moment. So it might be a case of the stream ID's changed, but just go to the channel ID and then click on the video. Maybe, I'm not sure. Sorry, I could probably adjust that, but I don't want to upset the 8 people who are watching on live at the moment. There, to be honest. Shall we?
We shall.
Yeah, let's pop that up there, and watch out for that.
Yes.
Chip.
Oh, got to watch the chip.
Yeah, poker chip here, our society poker chip.
Place your bets, ladies and gents.
Place your bets. Now, I think we had a 44 next.
Just got a comment here from Mark T. He said he's checked all streams, and it just disappeared off my screen. He was saying Facebook was the best visual, he said. From
I think that makes sense. There's something wrong with my webcam, obviously. I'm very sorry. It's very low budget. So 44.
Yeah.
A real cracker.
A real cracker.
So 44.99 is the code on this next one, and it's called a real cracker. A 14-year-old, spicy and dry, distillery 44, cask 99. And it's distilled June 2004. It's a refill ex-bourbon. Speyside. We're dropping down in proof a bit, 55.8 after 14 years in oak. And I
always like to think, when you grab a whiskey and you pour it for the first time, you think, oh, this is 12 years old, or it came from a certain place. I like to actually just give a moment's thought to when it was distilled and when it went into the barrel. This was filled on the 9th of June 2004. Do you remember what you were doing in 2004?
Yeah, I was at uni.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was getting very little sleep because my son was born 3 months just before this.
No, there you go.
So I was probably walking around in the middle of the night trying to look after a crying kid, and probably drinking a few drams to help me get through that. So.
Yeah, so Mark Teague says he's checked all the streams and Facebook has the superior vision.
The vision. Okay.
Well, I hope it's got superior sound as well. We've got a mic set up here for it. Like I said, we're sort of winging it tonight with the tech, and we'll see how close we get to it, really.
I like the fact they're out of sync as well. YouTube's reasonably on spot. Facebook has quite a delay. So that's quite a delay, in fact.
Yeah, no, that's going to happen.
And how's it? I haven't been paying much attention. Hello to all our Insta viewers.
Hello, Insta viewers. Yes, 45 Finn. Thank you, Mike Perth. I'm going to wave to you guys. Thank you so much.
Whiskey Uncovered. Hello, good to see you.
Yeah, I think he's joined up here. Matt, good to see you. Hope you're well. So yeah, it's so tell us. Can you tell me why? And everyone watching, why this would be? It's spicy and dry. Where do those spicy notes perhaps come from in 44? Well,
we talked about this at an event fairly recently. Or did I write a blog about it? I can't. It's all a blur. Anyway,
a lot going on.
It's a lot going on. So this distillery is famous for the character of its spirit, and it's one of the few distilleries left in Scotland, of the old distilleries, that still uses worm tubs for the condensers. We don't want to get too technical tonight, but what that basically means is as the spirit condenses, it goes through a different one of the old worm tubs, and as a result, it has less contact with copper, and that means that there's more sulfur in the spirit. They also get a bit of extra sulfur into their malt from where they get it kilned as well, because it's kilned by gas fire and the fuel from that, as opposed to other sources of fuel. So what that means is that you get a lot of sulfury meatiness comes through into the spirit, and that by the time you go through the whole process and put it into the glass means you get some extra spices along the way. So this distillery is actually famous for that. It's actually sought after for that very reason. So the blenders will be looking for certain whiskies from the Speyside region to get those light floral notes, to get some meat and some body and some robustness to their character.
Robusto.
That's the one. They'll turn to distilleries like this one, 44. So very much in demand for that reason.
I think that one aptly sits in the spicy and dry.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
I haven't even tasted it yet, but
no, even just on the nose. Yeah. Yeah, lovely.
Again, it's like the previous whiskey, ex-bourbon barrel, so you're getting the goodness of that American oak and that vanilla coming through, some fruit notes, pineapple in particular.
Callum Taylor asks, barrel sulfur, question mark. Matt touched on it in Melbourne.
So very different. Very different.
Yes.
Yeah. The sulfur that I'm referring to in the spirit is very different to sulfur taint in sherry casks. This is from a bourbon cask, so we're not getting any of that sulfur. This is sulfur in the spirit, and that's not nearly as offensive, and it doesn't have those same rotten egg notes and so on that we associate with sulfur taint from burning a sulfur candle. That's unique to sherry casks.
Good question, Callum. Yes, I did talk a little bit about sulfur in both spirit sulfur and cask sulfur for our Melbourne gathering a couple of nights back, and there wasn't a cask sulfur whiskey in the lineup, but there certainly was one which was another heavy spirit sulfur, a bit like this 44, which was from Distillery 70, which has a very heavy spirit, that cask was. And I'd say this is comparable.
Have you tasted this yet?
No.
The depth on the palate is incredible. It's one of those whisky. It's actually heavy. You put it in your mouth, and you actually almost feel it sink to the bottom of your palate. And then as you swallow and it goes down, it's actually got weight and body as it makes its way down. Very rich, solid, robust whiskey.
Here's a question for you. What was the first time you remember tasting like a heavy spirit, like a 70, like a 44, like a 76? What was the first time you tasted a heavily sulfured spirit and you went, oh, okay, I need to know why it's doing that and what it is?
Yeah. So, and for context again, when Matt said sulfur, then we're talking about spirit sulfur, not tainted casks. The answer to your question, it was one of the very early society tastings.
Right.
So we're talking early 2000s. Up to that point in time, I'd been enjoying and drinking a lot of single malts, but they were all the commercial versions that were bottled at 43%. They had been chill filtered. And it wasn't until the society came along in 2002 that, for me personally, I actually got a chance to start regularly drinking cask strength whiskey that was from single casks and had not been chill filtered.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Craig Gallagher at that time, and whoops, I said the distillery, 44, and other distilleries in that camp were not regularly available. If you went down to your local bottle shop, those distilleries and brands were not represented there. So it wasn't until the society came along that we got a chance to taste whiskies from those sorts of distilleries. We can name them. Craig Gallagher was one of them. Ben Rennis is another. Balblair, all those ones, and it was they just were not available in your local bottle shop. So it was those very early society tastings. By now, we'd launched in 2002, so it was some of the tastings in 2003 when these were coming through on our bottling lists, which is what we used to call Outturn at the time. When I first encountered it, and it really was an eye-opening moment. This was a new style, a new character of whiskey that, and I've been drinking single malts for close to 10 years up to that point in time. So, really impressive stuff.
For those who've just joined in, if you've joined in a little bit late, we're going through the live tasting for the Gathering, which is about opening the Gathering live tasting pack. That should be pretty obvious. Of course, if you're taking any photos of yourself enjoying the pack at home or enjoying a layout at home like we've done here, hashtag the Gathering and post the photos up on our Facebook, tweet them, Instagram us. We're live on Instagram over here. They're getting a bit of a secondary side feed of us here. Facebook up the top, YouTube in the middle. So we're very happy to be presenting this with Andrew and myself tonight. That's what the pack looks like. They're online still, so you can watch this, what we're doing now, later, of course. Or if you're not a member of the society, you can grab that. It's a cardboard. You can grab that. You can grab that pack plus a full membership for just $1.99, which is incredible value. And we've just opened the first two already. We've opened the 64 and the 44. 44, yeah.
Can I interrupt for a tech question?
Yeah, sure.
Any idea why the comments aren't visible on that?
Yeah, I just maybe
it doesn't like it.
Maybe it's just the no. Okay, I got that wrong. No, there they
are. And then they disappear.
They'll vanish again. Yeah. Okay, well we'll keep going.
We can see them up there, but
yeah.
Your eyes.
Oh, they just vanished again.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tech issues aside, we're still going on. We're pressing on. We're already live. We can't stop now. It's like a steam train. This one.
Indeed.
Okay.
Did you like that whiskey?
I loved it.
I thought it was sensational. I'm very familiar with this distillery. I've drunk a lot of it. That is a fantastic 44. And again, all of a sudden, I am relating to the name. A real cracker. They've got that spot on. That is a stunning whiskey.
I wouldn't add any more to that.
Again, I wasn't even tempted.
No,
it didn't even occur to me as a possibility.
Mid-50, but it's been 55%, 55-ish percent there, 55.9. Almost 56% ABV. I don't think it needs a drop of water. It's already got that lovely spiciness. It's got that hugely balanced that proof.
The other thing I think is stunning about this is that it's a refill barrel.
Yeah.
Now, refill. So it could be second fill, could be third fill, could even be fourth fill. It's all the better for it. I think if we'd stuck this in a first fill barrel and pulled it out 14 years later, I think it would have actually been dominated by the wood and perhaps a less balanced dram. The fact that it went into a refill cask has made this and allowed this to really let the spirit shine. I think it's stunning.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I'm just going to leave the rest of that. I think that will develop
in the glass.
Yeah, a bit of time. Yeah, it might need a bit more air.
Good call.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it. Even it's funny actually. We've gone from refill barrel to refill barrel. I'm going to hold that up. Even the color difference between these two might not be the contrast on the camera might not be able to prove that, but we've gone from quite a light. Space-sidey kind of color there. It's almost like pale straw. It's almost like a golden now, or it's just that we've moved to a golden straw. And I love even spotting even just tiny color differences in whiskey that is natural color. So that's exciting. I think you just got to tap the screen. Yeah,
there you go. Okay,
so we've worked it out. We're only 25 minutes in. It's okay. We're good.
Callum's asked, did the dram need a drop or two of water? Well, again, that's a subjective. Sorry, it's a personal thing. Matt and I both commented that we don't think it did, but those are our palates. And I think if you feel it needs a drop of water to bring it down to a strength you're comfortable with, go for it. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah. I think we're sort of hitting the 25 mark. I reckon we should open the third dram.
I think it would be appropriate.
Yeah. we have to at this point. Now we're going to something quite old here. So for those who are playing along at home and already have the pack in front Andrew, do you want to announce that?
Martin Eber, good to see you, mate. Okay, so this is a 35.239, 35, one of our favourite distilleries. Certainly, this guy's
guilty as charged.
One of this guy's favourite distilleries. 52.9%. So the alcohol's come down a bit, but we've gone up in age. We're now at 23 years old, and 23 years in a first fill bourbon barrel. So interesting. We were just talking about how the last whiskey went as a refill. This is now 23 years in a first fill cask. So we're going to get a lot of oak on this, I'm assuming. And in fact, the colour a little bit darker as well. So you'd expect and anticipate that.
Just if we can just take a moment to appreciate what 23 years old. We're drinking a whiskey that was distilled 27th of October 1995. What were you doing in October 95? I was in primary school. So
grey hair, no hair, black hair.
Yeah, no hair. So this is kind of cool. I mean, this was distilled in a different era of that distillery, of Distillery 35, and a 23-year-old whiskey. I've not even nosed it yet, but I'm super excited to, because it's the first time, before I even nose it, the first line in the tasting note says, "This sample had a story to tell, but it whispered rather than yelled."
Ooh, that's poetic.
Come on, that's pretty good.
Again, sorry, this was not planned. I'm just reading these now, but the name of this is Sweet Seduction. Hold that up to your nose. I'm seduced. Immediately, I'm drawn into this. It pulls me towards it. I want to know more. I want to wrap my nostrils around it.
Yeah, Scotty on YouTube. Set aside a sample of that 44 we just finished with. Come back to it later. I think it's really going to appreciate. I'll be honest, it's almost a little bit muted. Maybe it's because I'm coming straight off the 44, but it's a little bit not muted, but it's quite very, very subtle.
I find that with any tasting where you follow up after one of those distilleries that uses worm tubs, that spirit is always big and robust, and the next one, if it's not the same, can sometimes take a while to front up to it. Plus, we're down in alcohol as well. So.
We are down. We're 52.9. Josh says, "You guys have a great job." No kidding.
Is this a job?
Wait, are we working?
You asked me around for a drink.
Yeah. Jeez. I didn't even tell you I was going to put cameras up here. This is great.
That's his television behind us, by the way.
Yeah.
No TV in this house. We just sit and
look at bottles. Oh, wow.
Isn't that something?
Wow. I just then I got like candied popcorn.
Yes.
Just then. You know those they're awful. They're those colourful those, what are they called? Lollybobby bliss bombs.
I was just about to say, you're old enough to remember those.
Lollybobble bliss bombs.
They came out in 1985.
Well, I remember them. I remember lollybobble.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think they even still make them. I don't know.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got a hint of that, like a caramelized bliss bomb sort of popcorn note, which
again is that bourbon cask, isn't it?
Yeah.
True.
There's even just a hint of old perfume. It's like an old dresser, an old dresser that's held a bottle of perfume. Not the perfume itself, just like the wooden dresser. I love that. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's quite a change in flavour compared to the first two. We've suddenly made a right turn.
That's lovely.
There's some real lovely confectionery notes on that for me, particularly on the finish. It's lovely and sweet on the palate, and then you swallow, and suddenly all these sweets, jubes, lollies, fruit tingles kind of just burst onto the palate after that. Amazing finish, which you'd almost want to expect for a whiskey from 23 years old. You'd want it to leave a footprint. You'd want it to leave a lasting memory.
Normal says that the 35 doesn't give much up on the nose, but the flavour just keeps offering more with each sip. I can agree with that.
Yeah,
especially
great observation.
Perhaps you had the same thing as I did. We're coming off the 44. It's that big spicy kind of whiskey, something that's old and dignified. We didn't have too much of a gap in between.
No.
Again, one that I'd like to sit on for a while. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you paid much attention to our drinking habits, but you'll notice we're just consistently having a sniff, putting it down, having a sniff, putting it down. That for me is true whiskey appreciation and enjoyment, and it tells you that you're actually getting a little bit out of it. It's a complex whiskey. When you can keep going back, have another sniff, and you get more out of it each time.
Oh, yeah. One that I often like to do for people who are first time into whiskey appreciation is to nose it both with your mouth open and closed.
Absolutely.
Try both. And if you're drinking whiskey with your mouth, try nosing it. Almost like you're breathing in with that whiskey. It offers so much going on there.
So many different theories about how best to whiskey. I've seen all the methods. There's the Jim Murray method where you pass it by on a conveyor belt and sniff as it goes by. There's different theories on. Just now, did you get it?
Yeah, I missed it.
Different theories on how far the distance should be between your nose and the glass. I've been in master classes given by master blenders where they should be one finger. I've seen the two-finger approach. I went to a fantastic, had a tasting at Auchentoshan by the master blender there at the time. This was on a society tour back in 2009.
There you go.
And
that was 10 years ago, by the way.
Time flies. And he made no bones about it all. He said drop all that pretense. He said, just stick your friggin' nose in it and breathe in. And I've really I've subscribed to that ever since.
So just stick your nose in
and sniff.
See what happens, yeah.
But I do agree. Always sniff with your mouth open. When your mouth is open, you're going to draw more of those scents and aromas that are into your nasal cavity, nasal chamber, and draw the spirit over your olfactory nerve ending. So you'll always get much stronger sense of the aromas if you do that with your mouth open. We just got a bit educational.
You did. That's okay.
Now tell me.
Yeah.
Water?
No.
No.
No. No, sorry.
We're going to have a disagreement.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Well, I'd love to see you do it.
Well, this gets back to what I said before. I think there's some more potential here. I think some water. I think there's a bit more in this glass that's not coming out. So I think a drop of water might just a drop.
You're more than welcome to ruin your whiskey.
Yeah,
okay. It's fine. You're more than welcome to. I don't feel the need to. Let's have a look at some of these comments coming through here. Callum says the best way to drink or smell whiskey is the way that you like to do it. Look, I'm not going to disagree with that. That's entirely true. However you like to drink and enjoy whiskey, if you like your whiskey neat in a nosing glass, then go for it. If you want to add water, if you want to add whatever you like, it's your whiskey. You enjoy it how you want to enjoy it. Helen, Nick, thank you everyone for joining in. That's great. Thank you. And hello again, Martin. Sorry, I didn't get to say hello before. I think our whole Insta audience has moved over to Facebook. That's okay. I understand it's a side angle. You're not getting the full experience, perhaps. And that's okay.
Well, I guess our right ears aren't our best.
Steve McGarry, good to see you. Hope you're well, mate. So again, just those who've just tuned in, we're on the gathering stream. We're on the gathering tasting pack. There's bits of cardboard falling out of my box. We're on the gathering tasting pack, which has 5 full-size samples in here, plus all the tasting notes and cards. They're available on the society website. The packs are for members and for non-members. You can grab them as a non-member. It comes with membership, however. I really like that. I really like that whiskey. Now, I want to know, how does that...
Okay, right.
Tell me.
So I added, I don't know how many of you saw it, I added just a little dribble of water down the side, and I've got news for you. On the nose, it did absolutely nothing.
I didn't think it would.
Nothing.
I didn't think it would on the nose,
But on the palate, it came to life. I feel this whiskey has genuinely improved on the palate. For me, it actually made... We've experienced... No, hang on. Just a little dribble. We've experienced this with a few whiskies where, surprisingly, you add water and the dram gets a little spicier. And that's what's happened for me with this one. It's actually raised the spices. There's a beautiful caramel note that's now lifted out of the glass that wasn't there earlier. I'm certainly getting... It's a little bit drier as well. And herbal. I'm getting these... Now that I go to the nose, there's some lovely herbal notes there.
Okay, you know what? I'm inclined to agree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm inclined to agree. It didn't do anything for the nose for me either.
That's it, no. Maybe with the exception of maybe a little height and some herbal notes. But on the palate, did you find it a little spicier? Just a little bit more gritty?
Yeah, it held on a bit more, didn't it? Yeah.
And then and new flavours emerged, particularly that sweet caramel note.
I would suggest that that's possibly because after 23 years in oak in a first fill bourbon barrel, no less, it's going to be quite tight. It's going to be like there's a lot of tight. It's going to be quite a tight spirit, and the only way to temper that is with a lot of time. And I want to talk about that whilst we're doing this, actually, or water. So when you enjoy a whiskey, let's say you put something rather special in a glass, a society cask or something that you've been wanting to open. You crack it open, you pour it into a glass. How long would you often leave a whiskey in a glass to open up? And it does open up. I mean, whiskey opens up in the glass. It takes time for the ethanol vapors to blow off. And
there are some people who will pour a dram, put it down, and come back to it 5, 10, 15 minutes later. I'm not one of those people.
Well, we are tonight. We've put a few aside.
Yeah, but there's different theories about how long it's been in the bottle. You should let it sit for a minute for every year and things like that. Yeah. I certainly pour it, and I will start nosing it immediately. I'll always do that and let the warmth of my hand warm the glass, and I'll start sniffing straight away. But I will probably, if it's a whiskey the way you describe, something you've been looking forward to opening and it's special, I will nose that whiskey for a good 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes before I even think about putting it to my lips.
Right.
For me, it's just me, how I like my whiskey, but for me, the nose is such an important part of the appreciation process. I've got a good sense of smell, and I love just going back to whiskey and smelling and smelling and smelling. So, yeah, for those special whiskies you open and crack that you've been waiting for that moment for, I'll spend a good, as I say, up to 15, 20 minutes nosing before I think about having a taste. And what's incredible is that once you then do have a taste and you've got the residual spirit in your mouth and on your palate, going back and having enjoyment just with nose, taste, nose, taste, nose, taste.
I'm going to be honest, though. I'm going to finish that.
You said that as though it was a bad thing.
No, but I've left aside it too.
Oh, I see. Yes,
I'm just really enjoying that. I think I want to get kind of just kill that one off now.
I reckon adding a drop of water made the finish extend the finish a bit. The finish went for a bit longer as well.
Oh, that's lovely.
Cheers.
Yeah, I mean, the appreciation of stuff is such a it's a subject that I don't think often discussed enough. It's often about it's, as we said to begin with, often nerding out over codes.
Yeah.
And hunting different tasting notes and hunting different sort of eras of distillery and loving single glass whiskey, but the next step of what to do once you open it is sort of it's the one that I don't think we talk about often enough in some ways.
Well, it gets back to what you were just saying a little bit earlier with was it a comment from Callum? Yeah, the best way to drink or smell whiskey is the way you like to do it. It's very true, and I hope I'm not venturing out into dangerous territory here, but for me, when you pour yourself a whiskey, you go down one of two paths. You either go down, I'm going to enjoy this whiskey, or I'm going to appreciate this whiskey, and they're two different things.
Oh yeah.
And so enjoying the whiskey is simply enjoying it the way you like to. And as you said, Callum, whether you want to add water or have it with ice, whatever, that's fine. Like, enjoy the whiskey you want to enjoy, but if you want to appreciate it and get the most out of it, then I think there is a slightly more rigid, dogmatic process that one would go through to really analyse and be critical about it. And that may sound a little bit extreme or nerdy, but sorry, that was my job as cellar master and being on our tasting panel for so many years. We had to actually be very clinical about it. Years of training and experience has taught me that if you go through and do that, you can still have some wonderful moments. And after a while, that decision of enjoy or appreciate, the lines blurge and eventually blurge. Blur and merge. Blur and merge is blurge, yeah.
Steve Arias, Stuart Mountjoy, thanks for joining in. Thank you so much. A question from Callum again. Come back to the third dram to see if the residual alcohol provides anything to the nose.
All right, well, I've let mine sit there. So
I've got an empty glass of it. I'll come back to that empty glass. I often do those empty glasses after I've had a dram.
I've got a wee bit there if you wanted to.
No, that's all yours. That's all good. Right. Take it with you.
Yeah. Straight
that one's straight. You don't even have a pocket. Come on.
Did you not like my sleight of hand there? God. Ruining my tricks with the camera here.
We're going to pull the next dram, 107.16. You can join us along with this if you like. Thank you everyone for joining in and watching the stream tonight. Noel wrote in YouTube here, he wrote, I found the 33 opened up well with air.
The 33? Is he leaping ahead?
He was at the Melbourne Gathering.
Oh, right.
So I already poured mine in anticipation. Yeah, okay, cool. I mean, I haven't had a chance to do that. I might pour it in maybe halfway through this one. But I'm always really, if you notice at the Melbourne Gathering, we had caps on the 10 and the 33. Because if the room can often fill with peat.
You had caps. That's such a Melbourne thing. We just had lids in Sydney, but Melbourne had caps.
There it is. There it is. I can't. Okay. But no, we were caps, lids, caps. Yeah, God, you know what? I knew there'd be one tonight. I knew there'd be one. There'd be just that one perfect dad joke that I couldn't. You know.
It's in my job description. I'm sorry.
Now, if you've just poured that 107, again, take a look at the color on that and take a look how, seriously, just as I poured it, I noticed it's clinging to the edges of the glass. Very viscous spirit that we moved into here. I'm going to grab that tasting card, and we're up to Truly a Fairy Tale 107.16. It's a 7-year-old whiskey.
Check out the ABV.
It's 67% ABV.
That is up there.
That is ridiculous. And it's not your usual sort of sherry treatment. It's a second fill toasted butt. Can you tell us what toasting means versus charring, perhaps, for those playing at home?
For those playing at home, charring is when they submit the barrel to serious flame and they actually char the wood, so it's direct flame onto it, and chars the wood up till it turns into that black alligator-style charcoal. Toasting is simply putting the barrel over a very light fire and letting the heat and the warmth toast the cask. So they're two different processes, and they have different results and different intentions. One is intended to, obviously the charring process has an effect on those inner layers of the cask, which affects how the spirit will interact, and the cask will, courtesy of the carbon, will have an impact during maturation. Toasting is designed to actually bring to life the sugars, the wood sugars in the process.
So the 67% ABV.
That's up there.
We can probably safely assume this was filled at 70 into the cask or thereabouts.
Certainly more than the standard 63.5. For many, many years, all the brand ambassadors and the textbooks would tell us that they would fill their casks at what was called rating strength, 63.5%. That was industry standard, so that all the distilleries could and blenders could swap casks with one another without having to worry about duty. But casks are becoming more and more expensive, and some of the distilleries' accountants are realising that it's very expensive to mature water. So rather than watering down to 63.5, they're putting in at spirit strength, basically. So yes, you're right. There are a few distilleries now that would be filling at 68, 69, 70.
I know Glenrothes do.
Yes.
I know Macallan do.
Yeah.
And Highland Park certainly do.
Glenfarclas do it with some of theirs for their 105.
Yeah.
They need that whiskey to still be more than 60% after 10, 20, up to 40 years.
I was always amazed when I saw that
the 105, 40
at 60% still. How does that work? Yeah. But this is brutish on the nose.
Yes, it is.
This is
to wake me up.
Yeah. This is wake me juice. This is a breakfast dram if you've had a big night. It's not a killer on the nose though. You know how some high proof whiskies, they almost bristle.
Yes,
they bristle your nose and you go, oh no, I can't do that. I'm actually not getting any bristle on this at all. Steve writes, I'm on 112.48 whilst watching because I didn't get the tasting flight, and this is my flavour of the month. Can't get enough, dude. Steve, that 112 is a fantastic cask. It was a Gathering 112.48. Probably one of the most, no, not one of the most, probably the most versatile distillery in Scotland, I dare say. One that I have a huge affinity for. I love what they do. I toured the distillery back in May. That was amazing because they do everything in one site. They're distilling grain, they're distilling malt, they're making blended whiskey, and everything all in one site. And I think it's one of those distilleries, 112, that it's 122, 135, G9, and G15. Got it.
Well done.
Thank you.
Robert's just made a point here, came up a moment ago, not on YouTube. We had to reset. So, Robert, if you want to find us on YouTube, just have another
You're seeing
reset, and you can pick us up on that stream.
You're seeing the same thing on Facebook anyway.
Yeah.
There's no special treatment on YouTube, but we've got a few people watching on YouTube and a few people watching on quite a few on Facebook and a few on Instagram. So we're just going to broadcast to all the platforms as we can. I've not had a taste of that yet.
No, well, I'm still going back to the nose because it's still giving, but it's just gone in an unusually spicy direction, and woody notes. Some wood's coming through for me now. Very specifically sandalwood.
It's like almost like I can get around here, sandalwood. Yeah.
I'm in the carpenter's workshop now. And there's sawdust around. Bit of Huon pine as well. If you're familiar with the aroma of that. And just the tiniest hint of citrus.
Ooh.
Warm.
Oh, that one cuts through. I'll tell you what. It absolutely cuts through. Like I've just even my eyes are watering just ever so slightly. It's that just like bam, and it's hugely drying.
You got a knife and fork.
Yeah, it is honestly like a steak in the mouth.
It is chewy, but it's dry. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, dry cut
incredibly
steak.
dry whiskey.
Yeah,
this could almost have gone into our flavour profile of spicy and dry.
Yeah, it probably would have straight to the border. Hey,
yeah.
That's in just for those playing at home. It is deep, rich, and dried fruits. That one, it's which is often common for our sherry casks to carry that flavour profile. Not all of them, of course. It's a second fill toasted butt. Andrew's just been talking about what toasting versus charring means a bit here, which is I love nerding out a bit about that kind of stuff. Rob asks, certainly carrying the flavour through. Yeah, you know what? It's the finish on that. I'm just still it's lingering. I'm going to be able to taste that till tomorrow. I think that's holding on.
I like Scotty's just made a comment here. He's getting a huge violet crumble note on the finish. Mate, spot on.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Violet crumble, wow. Good call, Scotty. Oh.
You wouldn't have a violet crumble here, would you?
I don't have
I feel like I'm now.
Yeah. There's a servo not far. We need to do a post-gram run. Yeah. Oh,
does Uber Eats just pick up a chocolate bar?
Uber Candy. Yeah, just launched it. Oh,
now this is a huge whiskey.
Oh, it's massive.
It's a big spirit. It's 67%. This could probably take a little splash of water.
We've gone from
I don't feel the need to, but it could probably take it.
We've gone from 52% to 67 in one hit.
Wow.
So, am I doing it or are you doing it?
I'm happy to. Actually, I was hoping someone might beat us to the punch. I'm looking at the comments here.
Has anyone added water to this one? I'd love to know if they have because it's.
Yeah. You went first last time, so.
Oh yeah.
I'll take it.
I don't know. Take one for the team. There you go. What do you think you're sitting at now? What, 58?
Oh, I don't think I added that much water.
Okay.
I've probably gone from 67 down to about 61, 62. Woo! Bring on the fruit.
Scott Fitzsimons, good to see you. He says, closing up the store and digging into 76.144. Incidentally, It Caught the Darkness is going to be name of my first. You want to see more? Do you want to tap that screen for me?
Hello.
No. I think a slight tap. Wow. Okay, we'll get there eventually. I need to see more on this one. I need to know what it is. Oh no! What have I done? No, I'll flip the camera now. Here we go. Okay, well, I don't know what's going on here. I need to work out why that's doing that now. Like I said, we're going to have some tech issues along the way. Okay. Okay, well, we're still here. Don't worry, guys. We're still here.
Okay, so I Caught the Darkness is going to be the name of my first solo record as well.
Okay, I can get around that. Yeah. I think for some reason the stream's flipped to that way, and so
okay, here.
Oh, don't worry about it. Or is that because
that could be because it's 10 seconds behind. So if it suddenly turns on us.
Oh no! There we go. Okay. Well, the camera it looks like it's flipped on us, but it hasn't. So don't worry about it.
If we're on our side, 90 degrees to the side, can you put a comment to let us know, please?
Yeah,
those of you on Facebook.
If our stream's sort of gone sideways, okay, just let us know. It looks like it hasn't though. I mean, because you're fine. You're fine. It must be the it must be the truly a fairy tale that we're drinking. It's maybe it's actually not flipped. It's just us.
Just returning to the topic for a moment. Having added a splash of water, this has really opened up, and for the better. Sometimes a whiskey can open up and it opens up into territory you weren't interested in, but this is now suddenly fruity.
Talk about a way to murder a punchline, mate. It came up as Scotty. It came up as see more. I couldn't even see the rest of the comment. You all appreciate that. Come on. Oh, I've added
wild Australian flowers with water.
Wild Australian flowers with water.
Yeah. Sorry, with water, I get wild Australian flowers.
Wait a second.
Would you agree? It's expanded, hasn't it?
I get like stinging nettle.
Oh, ouch.
No, like the smell of that stinging nettle.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm not being stung by nettle.
Well, good.
Hayden, thanks for joining in. So we're on the 107.16. Just on that note of that code, by the way, 107.16 means they were the 107th distillery to join the society, but in 37 years, only 16 casks we've seen. So very few and far in between. We've had a couple of 107s over the last couple of years. So it's, I think, 107.8 was last year and .12 earlier this year, and so .16 now, which is great.
Do you mind if I grab your glass for a moment? Callum's just made a very interesting observation. He says that I added a lot more water than you did.
Okay.
He was watching our pours closely.
Oh,
and he'd like to know the difference between the two. So, not a lot.
Not a lot difference?
About the same.
You added a lot more than me.
Apparently.
Okay. I mean, I added a fair bit. I added like a probably like pour.
AD added more water where Matt added 2 or 3 drops to be different, to see what, it's going to disappear by both of you pick up from the 2 different drams.
Mark Teague, thanks for joining the Facebook stream. YouTube is still looking good on YouTube. Instagram a little bit slower tonight.
It's a nice drop.
Yeah,
its youthfulness comes through.
Well, it's only 7 years.
It's only 7, yeah. We had a little bit of discussion prior to going into tonight as to what order to put these in. And you wouldn't normally, we've had 2 reasonably aged whiskies there. You wouldn't normally then follow up with a 7-year-old in 4th place. But there was a logic for it. Obviously, the higher ABV contributed to that, and what we thought would be a reasonable amount of cask influence, having been transferred to this second fill toasted butt. And I still stand by our order, but I think it's the youthfulness and the vibrancy of that suddenly is evident.
Oh, it is, but my concern would be if that was anywhere before the 35, your palate would be a bit decimated,
and you'd struggle to have picked up the complexities and delicacies of that 35.
Yeah. You'd be a bit lost in the mix there because you've just had a few. You've just had a really big toasty 67% whiskey.
Yeah.
It's, by the way, this is also just a note. Distillery 107 is not one that you see single cask whiskey from. In fact, you barely see many single malt whiskey from.
It was only just relaunched as a brand. Just very recently.
Just recently relaunched the brand. But even then, I mean, the current relaunch, they're not easy to find. They're sort of, they're scattered around the place.
Not in this country anyway.
No, exactly, yeah. And, a single cask out of this distillery is quite remarkable. Yeah.
Just trying to look at Scotty's question here. Would the first fill be a 107 as well?
So that's a second fill toasted. Was the first fill of that cask also from? Oh,
look, I'd say so, Scotty. Our notes here say that, and when I say our notes as well, it's on the card. After 5 years in an ex-bourbon hogshead. Now, you'd like to think that if it was in a first fill, bourbon barrel, they would have left it in it or would have been ready to bottle. So the fact that it got transferred into another cask to be have a bit of sparkle added to it makes me think that the first cask was probably a second fill or third fill. You wouldn't invest in putting your spirit into a first fill barrel for only 5 years and then transfer it to something else. That's wasting a first fill barrel. Wow, you can type, talk, and drink at the same time. That's impressive.
Multitasking, live stream multitasking. I'm going to pour the next dram because I'm going to try Noel's comment. I'm going to pour it now. Give it a bit of time in the glass there.
Well, I'm going to pour mine now because I've tasted it previously and I know how good it is and I just want to get stuck into it.
Yeah.
Slightly different incentive. But.
So just on this next cask, it's a gathering cask, this one. It was bottled before the gathering. It's a 33.137 campfire marshmallows on singed sticks. Singed, sorry. Campfire marshmallows on singed sticks. Sorry, bit of a fumble of words there.
It's what the musician.
Yeah.
Singed.
Yeah. It's a 10-year-old from Distillery 33 in Isla. It's distilled 27th of November 2008 and exclusively matured in a first fill ex-bourbon barrel. This was bottled for the gathering. Now, what I mean by that is every branch got an allocation of this cask, and I got the UK to send us a healthy allocation for us to share around with our members at our events. Andrew just said that he's tasted this one before because we featured it last night at the Sydney Gathering.
Indeed.
Which is great, which is so fantastic. We featured it in Adelaide last night as well, Canberra the night before, Melbourne the night before, and it's had a feature at 4 different cities, and it's also available by the dram at Whiskey and Ailment at 270 Russell Street. They're a fantastic partner bar there in Melbourne. All of our partner bars are fantastic, and we have a pop-up with Archie Rose coming next month.
Looking forward to that.
Next month. Well, I say next month, it's almost October, so it is next month, but yes, 17th to 19th of October next month. We've got a full pop-up bar with them. Details will be in the link below for those on YouTube, but you'll see it on our Facebook group as well, of course, and everyone on here will see it as well.
Great comment from Callum there. Callum's just said, before your nose is destroyed by 33, destroyed, you mean enhanced and improved, I'm sure. Are you guys able to go back and smell the past drams to see if they've opened up or become flat? So great point, mate. Let's do that right now. Go back to number 1. Still alive, still giving something, still sweet, still fruity, still malty. I know you hate that word. I was watching on the live stream the other night. Oh, I hate malty. What a useless word. Bollocks. If it smells of malt.
No, I did not know. Sorry. No, malty is just, I meant that in a... Triggered. You're trying to wind me up here. No, it's true. But malted in a way like it's malty. That doesn't tell me much. It just says, I get into the malt characteristic. It's not as bad as saying smooth. Don't worry. It's not as bad as saying smooth. It's like, it's a smooth whiskey. Yeah, great.
I've never used the word smooth in my life.
I've never accused you of using the word smooth. I'm just saying that it is smooth is a redundant word in whiskey.
No, I agree. I wrote a blog piece about that, actually, years ago. Words you should never use, and smooth is one of them.
Sounds like the word police coming into play there.
Well, sometimes you've got to put your cop's hat on, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 2, still going strong. That has not. These two haven't deteriorated. They haven't weakened with time as they've oxidised.
I'm going to disagree with you on one. I think I think that's maybe it's just because I've just tasted a 67% whiskey. It's still there. It's still delicious, but it had a lot more of that sunshine and sort of floral note that I remember at the beginning.
Well, works for me. That's right.
Each to their own.
We're allowed to be different.
I go to the empty glass of my. Oh wow! Okay.
3.
Yeah. What's happened there? That's amazing.
But you'd expect that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd expect a 23-year-old to still continue to grow. There was a rule of thumb that someone came up with years ago. I think I might have heard Jim McEwen first say it. No, Richard Patterson from White and Mackay said it years ago. He said that when you pour yourself a dram, you should let it sit 1 minute for every year it was in the bottle. So if you have a 30-year-old whiskey, you should let it sit for 30 minutes. And the implication was that whiskies at that age still have a lot to give, and that, they've been bound up all that time, and as they react with the oxygen, they're going to give things off. So this was a 23-year-old. If we follow that rule of thumb, 23 minutes for it to continue to give off all its secrets and delights. So I can come back to number 3 now, and it's still giving, isn't it?
It's still giving so much.
Now, we've both watered this down, but on the palate, still good. So, mate, Callum, thank you for prompting us to go back and revisit that. That's something I think people should always do when they're having a dram at home. Pour yourself a glass, enjoy it, let it sit for a bit, go back to it a little bit later on and see where it's taking you. Alex has made a good point there. Thank you.
What did
it was a comment about the glass. It's got to be in the right size glass. If it ain't in a Capita, it's garbage.
Scotty says that the 44 is really dry when you come back to it now. Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you on that. I think the spicy and dry flavor profile meant that it's the spice was at the beginning when we first poured it, and now it's really dried out, and in a good way. That sort of dry, sort of mouth puckering sort of flavor that it's carried along this way.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting and reaffirming that our tasting panel in the UK, just sort of proof that they really got that one right. When they go through the whiskies, they've got to decide, first of all, is it good enough to wear the society label? Is it good enough for the society to bottle it?
Yep.
They've then got to come up with their tasting notes for it, and then they've got to say which of our 12 flavour profiles are we going to stick it into, and they got that one right. 3 out of 3.
Absolutely.
They chose to bottle it. They got some really nice notes for it, and they put it in the perfect flavour category. You're number 5 now?
Yeah.
Good.
That's so good.
So, look, we've moved on to peak, folks. We're on number 33 now, Distillery 33, 5th whiskey in your kit. And when you've had 4 whiskies that all sort of come, they were all space iders, weren't they?
Yes.
So we've had 4 space iders, and we've suddenly gone to Islay now, and what some would consider the typical Islay distillery. We talked about this just last night at the Sydney tasting. We've all got our favourites. This distillery is the favourite of many.
Oh, it's lovely. This is just so charry. It's like fatty bacon on a grill for me.
Oh, good description.
Like streaky bacon.
Yeah. Actually, it's amazing how often bacon is used when describing whiskies from this distillery.
Yeah,
you rarely hear it applied to the other distilleries, but it comes out with 33 a fair bit.
It's like
We had there was a society bottling from this distillery a long time ago, back in the paper label days, and I think from memory it was called Pea and Ham Soup.
Right.
And just the connection there, it was from a sherry cask, and the connection back to ham and bacon was a good one.
Yeah.
33.57, if I remember correctly. Please don't go looking that up. I'm probably wrong, but I do remember 33.57 was a good one. Just indulge us while we sniff this for a moment because it's so good.
Normally, you're just here to make me angry. I know it's fine. The 33 is so smooth. You're right. You know what? You know what? I know you're lying. That's okay. I'll take that one.
A Michael Jackson joke there about Smooth Criminal, but I can't quite make the link. It'll come later.
Alex asks, is the 33 or is it just I'd be 10? Alex was at the tasting last night where we tricked the members into thinking that the 6th whiskey in the lineup was the 33, but it was in fact Ardbeg 10. And everyone's really enjoying it, saying, "Oh, it's lovely," and it's like, "Oh no, you announced it as
just wait, the best is yet to come." So yeah, everyone was drinking regular 10-year-old, and then we surprised them and brought out this one instead. And that was a fascinating exercise, comparing the society whiskey to its commercial equivalent.
Yeah,
both bourbon matured spirit, both 10 years old, but one from a single cask and at a much higher strength. And people forget that. I say this a lot. Don't forget that distillation is the art of making flavoured alcohol. The flavour is in the alcohol. Therefore, the more ABV, the more flavour. And that really came out last night, comparing the commercial version at 46% to this particular version at 59.9, which is a big one.
Dr. Aker says he loves it. I'll agree with that.
He's got good taste.
He's got good taste. It's at first it was almost like the first time I tasted it, it was almost a bit aniseedy. But
there's a touch that now that you mentioned that, I probably wouldn't have reached for that myself. And now that you've said it, but the power of suggestion.
It's died off though. Like in the second taste, it wasn't there at all.
Well, okay. Can I see your aniseed and raise your fennel?
Fennel, yes, fennel. I know what you mean. Yes, yes. It's kind of whiskey that can silence the room a bit.
Which it did last night, did you notice?
Yeah,
incredible. It was the 7th whiskey of the night, the 8th if you include the welcome dram we served. And by the time your audience has had 8 drams, they're normally pretty loud and vocal and cheerful, and which is a wonderful thing. That's what we love about our tasting events. But it was incredible that as this 33 went round the room, the noise actually went down. Which you don't often see.
There was a moment of sort of almost like silence in the room. It was a
I haven't tasted it yet. Again, forgive me if you're impatient with me, but I just want to nose this. The nose is so complex, so wonderful.
Now, here's something from last night that we might share with our live viewers.
Mm-hmm.
I just noticed you doing this,
yes,
and warming the glass.
Yep.
And we did that last night as well with the Ardbeg that came out. Sorry, with the 33 one.
33.
Wouldn't know what distillery it is. I'm really sorry. With the 30, it was sort of warming it, and it was sort of holding the glass. And can you explain why you were doing that? And just for those at home, might be.
Yeah, sure. At the end of the day, what we have here is spirit with some very high volatiles and alcohols in there, and they're locked in. And how do we release? One way to release volatiles from your spirit is to add a drop of water. That's a chemical reaction that takes place. And that's wonderful. Sometimes you can add a few drops of water to your whiskey, and you'll always hear people talk about how it enhances the nose or the bouquet. Unfortunately, you're also diluting your dram. So you can often have the same effect and still release those volatiles by warming the spirit up. Warming the spirit has the same influence as adding water, a few drops of water. So just the warmth of your hand and cupping your glass and letting your hands bring it up a couple of degrees can really release that. So that was the reason for me doing it last night, the reason why I'm doing it now, because I feel this nose still has a bit more to give, and I know it does.
Yeah.
We experienced it last night.
Scott Fitzsimon's right. Silence in a room with Matt Bailey, ? Yes, surprisingly, yes, I can not talk for once. Thank you so much. And Normal says it's like fruit repeatedly crushed into the road by sea.
My God, Normal, if you were at a tasting I was hosting, you would get a prize for that comment. That is an incredible observation.
Crushed into the road, yeah, it's almost like that.
That is great, but he's right. It's the fruit.
Yeah.
There's amazing fruit on this whiskey. If you pick up anything from 33 and all you get is smoke, you're not trying hard enough. One of the reasons why 33 is such a revered distillery is because in addition to the smoke and peat, there is sweetness, there is fruit, there is citrus. You always get a good amount of lemon citrus.
Yeah.
On these things. So to get that fruit and then have it, crushed into the road. Now we often use bitumen and the like as a descriptor for Islay whiskies. That is mate. You just got yourself a job on the tasting panel.
You're on the tasting panel.
If you can write notes like that, that is incredible. Well done, sir. Cheers.
Look, we're gonna sit and enjoy the rest of these, and there's a few for us to dial back and forth from.
That's the first taste I've had.
Oh, that's the first taste. Sorry.
Oh, glorious.
It is glorious. It's a lovely cask. It's like,
and you know what? For 59.9, it is so soft and so balanced and not at all aggressive. There's no heat. Water. No, thank you.
Worth a try.
No.
That's yeah, no, that's fantastic. Now, as I mentioned before, that one is not being made available by the bottle at all. It was all opened and shared around. The idea was that all the branch bottlings that got sent around were opened and shared around with members at all the gathering events. So I'm sorry none of those ever became available. However, there is a very small allocation of each of the other 4 whiskies will be made available to those who bought the pack first and foremost, and then the rest will be online shortly after. They'll be online in about a month or 2, I think. Not less than 2 months, but about a month away. We'll put them up online. And Thank you so much for tasting through to the end and enjoying with the members tonight and tasting through whiskies.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for your company, and thank you for your company at home as well. This has been a lot of fun, and thank you for all who chimed in with some comments and some questions. What a night.
October Outturn is around the corner. It's next Friday night. These are landing in mailboxes now, but it's already up online. If you didn't get the email, it's on our Facebook page, it's on our group, it's on our everything is on our website. So you can grab this Outturn now and check out what's in it. And then, of course, as I said, the Archeros pop-up is coming. It's for Sydney. It's very exciting. But events all around the country, as always, that we do every month. Thank you, Andrew, so much. And I'll say Slanjava.
Slanjava.
And we'll see you soon. And now you get to endure watching us
disconnect everything.
Disconnect all the live services. Thank you everyone for joining in, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.